Team Texas, this is Brian Parker, Business Vice President here in North Texas, and I'm really happy to bring you this training, quite frankly, because I've seen this training work in my own business. I know in the past 12 months or so, I started partnering with one of our speakers here on the call tonight and personally closed 3 or 4 new groups with people invited to this meeting with the group totals of over 2,000 eligible employees. So I know I've seen these things work, and I know how to work them and work them the right way. So I've reached out to 2 of my really good friends in this business, Mr. Jason Lavender and Mr. Eddie Peters. And it's one of my favorite things about this business is the fact that people are so unselfish with their knowledge. These gentlemen have spent many years, a decade and a half in this business, accumulating not only a lot of memberships, a lot of success, a lot of money along the way, but have helped a lot of people. And so they're going to help you again tonight. So get your notepad out, get your pen and paper, take some copious notes. I'm going to make this available to you. But we're going to tell you about how to have great meetings. And those great meetings are going to start with preparing that list, the list of prospects, that list of people that you want to invite. And then we're going to get that list of qualified prospects to one of our events. So I'm going to bring Jason Lavender in now. Now, Jason, I know you've had a lot of success with every one of these meetings, whether a B2B recruiting meeting, decision-maker luncheons, or this hybrid that you do there down in Austin. Jason, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Brian. Excited to share this information with you guys today. This is an event that's near and dear to my heart, and how Casey and I have really used this event to leverage our business over the years, and I'm very excited to help share it with people all over the country and help you guys scale your business as well. I think there's some misconceptions about this meeting. We call it a DM meeting, decision maker presentation, what that stands for. However, it's really a multi-purpose event. This is something that you can use for different facets of your business all in one knockout punch. And so next couple of slides is going to represent that. And when we're talking about who to invite to something like this, certainly we want to invite new prospects, people we're out talking to for new cases, people, HR folks, CFOs, CEOs that might be currently looking at offering our service. We want to do that. And, of course, that encompasses any warm leads that you may have, following your dollar, things like that, past company contacts, people that, maybe you've spoken to months ago, even years ago, back in your database, and also current pipeline folks that you have currently had conversations with recently. The next is conservation groups or existing cases. You want to invite those folks that, maybe for whatever reason you're not getting enough production out of them. Maybe the relationship just isn't there that you need to have with that customer, and so you're trying to cultivate a better relationship with them. Or it's an existing customer. Maybe it's someone that you have a great relationship with, somebody that would come out to a luncheon and support you around their peers. It's a great way to network with your current customers, and Casey and I have invited out existing customers and asked them to give a quick testimony for us at this event. So their peers that are considering this program are hearing it from businesses that are already offering this product. So existing accounts. And then also, thirdly, and I think the one that most folks miss the most, are use it as a recruiting tool. Invite out B2B sales professional, insurance folks, financial planners, people that have B2B skill sets that sitting through, something like an event like this, it turns a light bulb on for them to say, hey, I can invite people to this and not have to be the expert. And it's delivered professionally. It's done in a short amount of time. It's at a great high-end venue. And so it helps the light bulb go off. We're certainly not going to be talking about compensation in an event like this or, getting set up and started as an associate, none of that. But just invite them out and just say, hey, I'd like you to take a look at one of the venues that we use on a monthly basis or weekly basis, however often you're doing this event, to attract brand new clients. And this is something that you can utilize as you start your business, bringing your own book of business to come out and see this event. So it's really intentional to do it that way. And I really think, Brian, it's something that a lot of folks are missing because of just the title of our event being the DM presentation. That is the primary focus, is for the new cases, but we can use it to attract other folks into our organizations as well.
Absolutely, Jason. This can be a fantastic recruiting tool. there's no doubt that if you bring a broker or an insurance agent or a B2B professional to one of these events, they can actually absolutely see the value proposition that we deliver. I wanted to send it out there now to Mr. Eddie Peters out there in El Paso, Texas. I went to high school out there in Coronado, Miss El Paso. We'll see you very soon, Eddie. But talk to us about your event you've had out there for 3 years, and how do you go and invite people to one of your successful B2B events?
Well, absolutely, sir, and privileged to be on this call, especially on this very timely subject. When it comes right down to it, after you've now looked at and explored that vast list that you have of all of these different professionals that Jason just went over with, all of which have multiple skill sets, the how to invite is very, very critical also as well. And basically, let's keep this really, really simple, because that's exactly what they're hoping for. I believe the more you talk or the more you say, the more complicated it gets, and it seems that in their minds that means the more lengthy whatever the event is going to be, and guess what? They just don't have time for it. So when you're creating a conversation starter, as you can see on the slide here, the main thing that you want to do is just simply be yourself and ask if you can invite that particular professional to lunch. Real simple. Everyone can do that, and you also already have a very, very classy, a very professional-looking invitation. When we say make it your own, it doesn't mean make your own invitation. It's already done. But just simply be yourself when it comes to the conversation starter. Can I talk with you for a minute? Hey, how often do you conduct business over lunch? How often do you have working lunches, networking lunches, those types of things? That's what we mean when we say make it your own, and simply ask if you can, in fact, invite them to lunch to be able to share what it is that you're doing with Legal Shield to help persons protect and grow their businesses. One of the things that you do, and again, in using that who to invite list as a guide, you certainly want to make the personal contact. One of the last things that you want to do is simply just go ahead and start blasting out a bunch of email invitations. There's still something to be said in this modern world about a handshake. Just simply looking someone in the eye, giving a firm handshake, and being able to be personable and simply coming on, asking them to come on out to a great lunch that'll be a great use of their time. And to be able to do that, you don't want to wait to the last minute also as well. You want to give these very good professionals, in terms of those who very much so value their time, you want to make sure that you give them at least 2 weeks out, if at all possible, even more, 3 weeks out. I know with our luncheons, we keep them separated. We do them monthly. So we already know the next date for the next event. We already have our invitations getting printed up, and we want to go ahead and give that time out so that folks can prepare, get it in the calendar, and really truly treat it as an appointment. Like Brian was saying, like Jason also alluded to, they're not looking for a free lunch. As a matter of fact, they know there are no free lunches, so there's no need to really come off that way. They know that it really looks like a business lunch. The more it looks and appears as a business lunch to them, that is therefore a good use of their time, and they're going to take full advantage of it along those lines. You'll see next also when it comes to the how to invite, and as I mentioned, the personable script, the kind of in-person, if you will. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but basically I just want to make sure that you know that your script, whatever you say that you've made your own, it basically needs to contain 3 things. It needs to be professional. It absolutely needs to be exciting to show a sense of urgency, but at the same time, it still must be brief. Basically, as I said before, if you say or write too much, then everything else will probably take too long in their mind as well. So just simply have something to say and say it well. You just simply want to make sure that they are on the same page in terms of the value of going out and having a working lunch, those kinds of things, being able to conduct business over a meal with other professionals, getting to know others. Even the networking aspect has been something that's been very beneficial in our experience also as well, knowing that there will be other professionals in the room that they can also build working relationships with and for. And so those are things that have been very attractive and been very beneficial to us also as well. So remember, they're asking themselves the question, what's in it for me? WIIFM, right? We all have heard that before. What's in it for me? Why should I spend my valuable time there? I can be many other places, just in fact staying in my own office and having my lunch at my desk as I continue to grow and do things that are necessary to meet their goals for that day, that week, whatever the case may be. So understand and know you see a script there, make it yourself. And also, if you'll notice, the last question that you see that I have there is, may I add you to our RSVP list? may I add you to our RSVP list. Again, you want to make sure that they take this extremely seriously because you're taking their time seriously. That also shows that with an RSVP, we want them to make sure that they have you in the book as a standing appointment, and that means something else would have to come along to bump it as opposed to just penciling you in because you know how they can always go by the wayside. And then, of course, one of the things that I also have done, and myself and my colleague Christine Seelig, who conduct our lunches, how to invite, and you have the email script, which, again, you don't want to just simply send these out. There are going to be some times, though, that's what your client or your prospective guest, that's what they expect, that's what's more convenient for them. And so if that's the case, if they request it, then you can use something like the script that I have here. Again, if you've already met someone because you've gone out networking, we know that the majority of persons looking at and listening to this webinar information, this is what you do. You put yourself in positions to where you're in the room with several other professionals at any given time. And when you do that, this is a great way to follow up with on the email script, remind them where you met, that you talked briefly about coming out to a luncheon event, professionals event, and go from there. Basically, again, asking for the RSVP, reminding them of that. And then down the line, as you get closer to the actual event, you certainly want to be able to give that gentle reminder of the RSVP if it hasn't already been received. And so having said that, Brian, you know, there are several other different ways and different examples of the email scripts, and I'll turn it right back over to you, sir, to go into another.
Yeah, marketing is just like cooking. You know, everyone can follow their own recipe, but you can't forget key ingredients. So talking about having different perspectives and making it your own is extremely important because you have to be believable. So, Jason, I know you have a little bit different approach when you're inviting to your professional events. What's some of the scripting and some of the tips that you do when you invite your prospects?
Sure, and that's one of the good things about kind of co-training on anything that we do in Legal Shield is you get to hear kind of different perspectives, and the facts are really they all work. Eddie hit the nail on the head when he said make it your own, and I think it's important, you know, you can steal a little bit from all of the leaders that you hear do these events and do the trainings, and then you make it your own, and that's definitely what, you know, Casey and I have done over the years, and Brian, I know that's what you guys have done as well, is you take a little bit here and there. For me, I've always had kind of one mantra in the business, and that's getting the right information to my prospect in the right order in short periods of time. And so this is just a sample that you see here on the slide of, you know, one of the ways that I've used inviting. I like to kind of make them feel special. You know, hey, I'd like to invite you as my guest at an upcoming lunch that I'm having. And then I also like to state the fact of what it'll be. I want them to understand exactly the purpose of this event, know when they come, what they can expect out of the event, so they don't feel that there's been some, you know, bait and switch or anything like that. I let them know, hey, I'm going to give a quick overview of our product, and we're going to have some great food. And I've always made it a point, you know this, Brian, because, you know, you've worked with me on these venues. I make it a point to make sure that we're at a high-end venue. I want it to be a place that they don't go to on a regular basis, and some place that they might just want to come for lunch. They may accept my invitation, not really anticipating to be excited about the benefit per se, but because of where the venue is. And it really matters not to me, because I know that statistically, out of 10 people I can get in front of, you're going to have 6 or 7 of them that are going to say yes at our program. So just getting them to that high-end venue with us is a difference maker. And so I put that in my invitation. Again, because it's inviting, it's warm, it makes them want to be there. And, of course, as Eddie touched on, getting them to RSVP, because if you're doing it at a higher-end venue, yep, it can cost a little bit more. You've got to let the restaurant know, the chef know what it is, that, you know, your body count that you've got coming in. That's really important. And then I also do the same thing with insurance agents, agencies, financial planners. I've found over the years, you know, being a licensed insurance agent myself for now 20-something years, inherently many agents and agencies are just lazy. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. I don't mean that negatively. I just mean they're so stuck in what they've done for so long that talking about an ancillary product like Legal Shield that is not currently viewed as a core mainstream product, it's just not in their normal conversation every day. It's not in their wheelhouse every day. And so knowing that, and if you do believe that to be true, and I can tell you it is from a lot of experience in the business, if we want them to come hear about what we're doing and truly grasp what they're doing and have a chance to see how they could plug their book of business into it, do the heavy lifting for them. Take the excuses away. If all you do is reach out to one of your insurance folks in your organization and say, hey, I'm having this luncheon, bring your book of business, go ahead and send an email out to them. If that's what you do, don't expect that it's going to get done, because it takes time to put the invitation together. It takes time to put the email language together. It takes time to send it out to their book of business. What I like to do is take similar language to what you see on the slide here, and I forward it to them. I give them everything on a silver platter. I let them know, hey, here's what I've been sending out to my clients and prospects. A copy of the invitation is attached. I use language like this. Feel free to just cut and paste and forward it. And what I've found so far, Brian, and you know this because we've had a lot of insurance folks show up to our luncheons, is that's exactly what they do. They literally will just cut and paste what I've given them and send it out to their book of business. And that's nice because you're saving them a ton of time. You're taking the guesswork out of what to do for them, and you're really just, again, kind of taking the excuses away, really.
Exactly, Jason. It's a lot easier for a broker to want to bring their client base to a place like the El Paso Club or the UT Club down there in Austin where you have yours, or the La Cima Club where I have mine here in Irving. Instead of them putting a proposal in their client's face, they can say, hey, why don't you come hear the carrier? Let's make a decision if we want to do this year or not. Eddie, why don't you choose the El Paso Club to be your venue of choice?
We wanted to look good and to represent our brand. People judge you on so many different things today, ladies and gentlemen, before you even open your mouth. It has everything to do with appearance, with location, and especially when you're talking about having a professional venue, I would think that the best thing you would want to ask yourself is this venue reflective of the goals and the mission and therefore the accomplishments that you are sharing that is going to happen as a result of sharing your products and services. This is not to put down any of the other establishments and so forth. We quite frankly have it because we've got an 18th floor view of the entire city. We already know from doing our homework, Brian, that the best of the best organizations and the most well-known, most respected organizations in town attend the El Paso Club when it comes to their meetings. In fact, many people who have never even been there before, when you say El Paso Club, they still absolutely know where you're talking about and where the location is and so forth, and they've heard about the view, the wonderful best buffet in town, all of that. And all of these things factor in right away, immediately, right from where you say your venue is going to be held. This lets the potential guests know that you're not playing around. You're very serious about making a very good first impression. And, hey, quite frankly, if this is the type of effort you're putting into simply going to lunch to be able to meet, what type of effort will you then put into taking care of my customers or clients that I am going to be thinking about turning over to you, even if I'm not in the room, and know that they'll be taken care of well?
Exactly. If your prospects see you run a tight ship, then they won't even register for something when they think they might not show, right? When they know they're coming to a high-class event, they realize that you have the budget and the clout and the experience to pull off a high-class enrollment for their clients. Now, Eddie, how do you feel about an associate wanting to show up just to see how the thing works and not bring a guest?
Well, we try to kind of weed that out right from the very beginning. It's kind of like overcoming some of those thoughts before. It's a part of our process when we're inviting fellow associates and teammates to come out to this event. We make sure that they know it's a very unique event and a very unique audience. So this is not toe dipping. This is not coming out just to see how it works and so forth. It's already working. And quite frankly, number one, you're going to get frustrated if you come out there, fellow associate, because if you're by yourself the whole time you're there, you're just going to be wishing after about 15 minutes that you had 2, 3, 4 other guests with you. Because you see how tight of a ship it is and how professionally everything is being done. Number two, that associate who might want to come out and do that, quite frankly, we have a responsibility to that associate to make sure they truly understand what this event is for and what it is there and meant to accomplish. This isn't one that you have to come out to just kind of see what's going on. Remember, it's at a different level. Again, this is not any disrespect or necessarily comparison to other events, but this is a unique event for a unique audience, and therefore they expect the best right out of the gate. So any associate who, Brian, actually says that they are not sure or if they're going to come, they just want to come and just check it out first and see if it's something they want to participate in, I would dare say that associate does not fully understand what that event is all about, and it's our responsibility to make sure they understand that fully, give them that sense of urgency and excitement, and show them why they can say thank you later when they bring their guests out and they have the success in building relationships down the line.
So we brought our prospects to a great event, or maybe our prospects have brought their prospects to a great event. They've nodded, they've agreed, they've seen the value proposition. Is that the time to pull out paper and do that? It's really probably not. The best is to meet them where they are and be professional. And we have a whole approach that we've developed for this, and it's using that simple survey. So, Jason, go into the follow-up approach that associates should follow.
One of the things when we sat down and put this together, Melissa Wilder and I worked very hard on this, and this is something that she and I had worked on years and years ago. And when we sat down with the marketing team, Claire, our Vice President of Marketing, and Aaron, and really started looking at what the content of this looked like, it's kind of a no-brainer that a lot of people do presentations, and they do effective presentations, and they get their guests out, and they do all that, but then they don't have a good follow-up tool. And it's just sales 101 to kind of have something in place ahead of time to give us a proper follow-up, and that's what the survey is. You'll see that in the back office next to this. There's a copy of it already done. It's already professional. It's got the questions on it that you want to ask. And that survey needs to be handed out at the end of your DM presentation, because what that is it is your prospect telling you exactly how they want and what they want to be sold. You'll have folks that, as an example, you never even knew that they might be interested in the commercial driver's plan because you had never even talked to them before, but they saw a slide or two in the DM presentation, and you find out they got 100 drivers that are commercial drivers. Now they want more information on commercial drivers. Maybe they want information on a personal plan. Maybe it's the small business plan that piqued their interest, and you weren't even having the discussion about small business yet. You were talking to them about employee benefits. So whatever they put on this survey, it's telling you what to lead with on that follow-up conversation. And so the follow-up to that, conversation, you'll take those surveys at the end, and as you call them, here's a sample script of kind of what it might look like a day or two after the event. They're going to be expecting you to call them because they filled out the survey asking for more information. And so there's no need to hide why you're calling them or try to be, deceiving or anything. Just let them know. Hey, Bob, thanks for coming out to lunch. It was great to see you. I enjoyed getting to share the Legal Shield information with you. And on the survey, you expressed more interest about the small business plan. So I just wanted to reach out and set a time that we could circle back and I could go over that with you. What's a good time for us to get together, mornings or afternoons? Just short and sweet, over the phone. If the phone doesn't work and you've left a couple of messages, then go ahead and you can send this via email as well. I would recommend, a phone call first, Brian, because I think that's just more impactful. But the survey is one of the key components for this event for so many reasons. It's a key component. It also, by the way, we're talking the positive side of it right now. It also tells you, by the way, if somebody came to your event and they're not interested in hearing anything else, it allows you to separate the cream, if you will, from your prospects that you came. So that way you're focusing your prospecting time on people that want to hear what you have to say. And because you gave it the right information in the right order and you did it in a short period of time, they're going to be receptive to hearing that next stage of your conversation in the buying cycle.
Right. And I know, Eddie, I think you have a tip on for folks that are getting out there and wanting to start these professional luncheons out there. First of all, I think it's a bad idea just to show up to one of these events with your guests. It's very important as you see these events on the calendar or you reach out to people who know you have them, like myself, Eddie, Jason. It's very important that you reach out to the host because many of these events are in smaller rooms. Because they're smaller rooms, we can have a controlled environment, and so it's very important you reach out to your host. So those that are wanting to start an event out there and maybe looking what kind of event, what kind of venue can I find in my area, Eddie, what kind of tip or tool do you have for associates that are wanting to find something that can help them find that exact location?
Well, right off the bat, really, you nailed it. Just making sure that you first find out what type of event and the hosts, those that are taking the time to put these events together. That is very, very much so the very first place that you need to go, and talking with those folks so they can just give you a background, backdrop on the room size, the RSVP being, again, so very important, because we certainly don't want to have to start moving furniture around just kind of trying to fit people in, because you have actually a very successful event, but you're not really prepared for the success. That's the last thing that you want to happen. And so between making sure that you're talking with the host, and then, of course, the host's responsibility, going back to that as well, making sure the events are, in fact, being promoted. Very, very different to just announce something and to promote something. And so when you're talking about the different events that you're at, all of the other events that are going on, different types of lunch and so forth, very important to make sure that these events are promoted with experienced promoters, if you will, from the front of the room, to be able to give a backdrop on exactly what's going to happen, who is the ideal audience, and then that draws people, again, back to the host, make sure they have some one-on-one conversations and so forth. And really, really quick, Brian, if I may, I remember a few folks that really going towards this subject were asking, well, if we're going to start one also as well or be involved in this, how do we even find this quote-unquote professional venue? I mean, where do you even start to look? How do we know if it is, in fact, going to meet the standards that we're trying to meet? First and foremost, I would suggest also that you partner with someone, so it's not all just on one person. You know, that just makes sense to have a team of 2 or 3 persons, all that can be relied upon with different responsibilities. But I would absolutely hope and suggest that you would look at where your chambers of commerce are already meeting, your Lions clubs and so forth, Rotaries, your BNI chapters, so forth, whether you're involved in those particular organizations or not. You know of someone who is, and they typically, being the professionals that they are, inviting a professional audience also as well, they're already meeting at the best places, and they're also still trying to find venues that still are not going to hurt someone too much in the pocket, but still convey a very, very good first impression and a classy location, if you will, for the type of audience necessary. So those tips I would give right off the bat in terms of actually promoting the event, getting with the hosts of the event also as well, who will be happy to get you the information that you need to come out so that you can have success, and then making sure, again, that you pick the right venue that reflects our brand, that is Legal Shield.
Exactly. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for donating your time to us. You're just a wealth of knowledge, and having people as successful and accomplished as yourselves to be so unselfish and to reach out and help others up is really what's truly amazing about yourself and this company. And so I know everyone. I speak on behalf of everyone else on the line and that will listen to this training. We deeply appreciate you guys taking time out to share your amazing insight with us. As far as Team Texas, if you wanted to reach into a decision-maker event or a B2B recruiting event in your area, look to the Shield Texas calendar, but also reach out to your leadership. You can reach out to me, North Texas BVP, or Patty Nelson, your South Texas BVP. Reach out to your certification trainers and your field trainers in your area and start these up. These can be tremendously successful events if you use the ingredients that we talked about in this training today. Take care. God bless. See you at the top.